done for demonstration purposes. It was not in competition. This is Ronnie Kemp's F4, built from a yellow aircraft kit. Unfortunately, it was lost during practice flying due to a radio going to failsafe when it shouldn't have. Ronnie did some nice work. Terry Lynch's F-86, dubbed Putty Tack, was fabulous. Terry finished 7th overall. It's a Bob Violet kit. Runs a KBV-82 engine. Running a little bit rich. Look at the smoke trail. And Terry did a wonderful, wonderful job. Look at that landing. Look at that landing again. That was his first flight. He went on to post much better flights. Jim McDonald is shown here utilizing one of the Arizona Model Aviator's special static stands. But he's showing off his 21st place Grumman Hellcat. This is during static judging. Jim incorporates Fowler flaps in this 21-pound airplane. Uses a Weber Bully for power, and like I say, he wound up 21st place. Coming up later in the tape, we have an unusual photo sequence of one of his landings where he had a little bit of a mishap. It'll be interesting to watch. But the Hellcat performed flawlessly. I believe that was his overshoot, and this will be his landing.
Okay, now look for the spectators. The Japanese had a nickname for the Corsair. What was
That landing should give you an idea of how robust that landing gear was. It went from the paved surface to an unpaved surface to a grass surface to a chuck hold surface and back up onto the paved surface. Here's a good one for you. You probably all of you have probably seen Gene Barton's Sky Raider from time to time in the magazines recently. It's graced both the cover of Scale RC Modeler and High Flight as well. It features exact scale retracts, a full lighting system, flaps, folding wings, and executed some of the best takeoffs and landings of the entire event. Gene finished in 10th place. This airplane is 90 inches, weighs 37 pounds, and a Weber Bully with an 18-610 prop pulls it along. He does not drop the drop tanks. Look at this landing. Look at this takeoff. Let's call that a touch and go. Here's the landing for sure. See how long the tail carries before it comes down? Excellent job. There goes the wings folding up. One of the beacon lights goes on or off when the wings make contact in the extended position, so Gene knows enough not to take off if that beacon is not lit, indicating the wings are down and fully locked. The beacon light will not go on until the locks are in place. Pretty good fail-safe method. Just drives around like a car. This is the High Static Award-winning airplane. It also received the Best Civilian Award. It's a de Havilland Rapide built by George Harlan of California, and it was flown in team scale by Big John Elliott from Cox Hobbies. This airplane was absolutely gorgeous, taken out of mothballs, reconditioned. I understand it's now going on to a museum, and if nothing else, it proves that high static does not win a contest, because the crosswind really played havoc with this airplane. And John had his hands full a couple of times. Fortunately, the airplane's been brought back in one piece, no damage. And as I said, George is donating it to some museum. Excellent craftsmanship, that's all I can say. This airplane uses two KMB 61s for power, by the way. Little tiny flaps, you can see them. And watch this. This airplane was saved by the net. Here's a quick glimpse of Shane Kramer's Ortego designed P-47 that eventually hit a high tension wire and fried the right wing. Shane placed 34th this year. Shane Kramer's becoming a much better flyer, a lot more disciplined. And it's just too bad he hit that darn wire. Here's Chuck Fuller's big old quarter scale, 96-inch, 40-pound super steerman featuring the daring damsels in distress. Later on in the tape, you'll see him do a spectacular one-wheel landing that resulted in very little damage. And later on, we're going to see some real trouble where the airplane bit the dust. Chuck favors civilian aircraft. This one has a very realistic smoke system. But for some reason, and I don't know why, the airplane only mustered up 30th place. This is far off Chuck's usual performance, but for some reason Chuck seemed to be preoccupied the entire weekend, maybe with a new scale subject in mind, I'm not sure. But that takeoff is not typical of Chuck Fuller, I can guarantee you that. Chuck would drop those two little streamers in flight, then go on to do his smoke routine. There's the smoke now. After dropping the streamers, he'd have to walk out about a half a mile to find them. Now there goes one wheel. Notice how he keeps the land. There you go. He kept it right off that skid. Here's the P-51 back again. Supposed to be down about 300 feet. He passed over at 1,200 feet. Still a joy to see and a joy to hear, but sure would have been nice if he could have come down the deck for us. But the FAA said no. The pilot said no thank you. Here's a good look at the crowd we had on Saturday afternoon. Rich Urovich had gone up in that P-51 to take some pictures of the overall site, and the photographs are spectacular. We had about 15,000 people. See the little umbrellas we had for the judges. Not too much to say about Wayne Seward's 9th place Mooney. That's right, 9th place. The camera can do a much better job than I can, but check out the detail in the luggage compartment in the interior of this airplane. This is a 17-pound OS-108 powered scratch-built airplane. Wayne offers a kit for it. And I believe he does a slow and fast flyby, but was a little bit downgraded because the speed differential wasn't quite enough. I believe that would have been a slow flyby because there's the flaps being down. And I guess he'll come around for his fast flyby, or maybe Werner's got the landing here. Let's see. This will be the landing of Wayne Seward's Mooney. Little too hot, a couple of bounces. That's a big downgrade, but first flight jitters. This is Earl Thompson's Whirlaway. It's built from a Nick Zeroli designed T6, which was then kitted by Hangar 1. It's a 26-pound airplane. I believe he's using a Zenoa G62. Earl Thompson's been around for a number of years, always has exquisite scale models. You'll get an idea how big the crosswind really got to be after a while when you see this Whirlaway coming in for a landing and how it affects the side-to-side motion. I believe one wingtip there. Look at that. One wingtip just goes right down to the ground and scrapes. Nice landing gear detail, but you see how it's wallowing around in the wind. Another T6 will be coming up in a few minutes. This one's going to be done by Frank Pring. He did a Canadian version of the T6. And I believe Werner has an interview with Frank Pring from Canada. And they'll tell you more about it. But there's Earl Thompson's Whirlaway. Nice flying airplane. Now here's Frank Pring's T6 we were talking about. Immaculate airplane. Look at the detail around the canopy and the clear glass and the framing, the trim tabs, little rivets around the trim tab. Just a fabulous job. Here comes Werner.
Cup for Propwash Video, and standing next to me is Mr. Frank Pring from Edmonton, Canada. We've known you as flying your beautiful yellow Harvard for a number of years now. But you've just told me that the Harvard you're flying this year is a brand new airplane. First of all, I want to ask you, did your old one crash?
Yes, it did. I was qualifying in our local contest for Scale Masters, and I had the misfortune of putting my old one right through some trees. Fairly spectacular crash. Needless to say, I still qualified for it, and had to bring my Bravo to Scale Masters last year, and I love the old Harvard so much I decided to build a new one this year. And this one flies just like the old one, no changes. Just love the airplane. Very stable, very smooth.
You've done a lot of detail work, including the riveting. What kind of engine and radio are you using, Frank?
I have a 9-channel in there, PCM, and my engine is a Zenoa G62.
Frank, I guess I should ask you exactly what scale is it? It looks rather large standing here.
Yes, it is. It's a 1/5 scale. I scratch built it from Nick's early plans, just like my original, and it's got the Robart gear in it, and it's very dependable. There's no problems really with it.
I've seen it fly here in the wind this weekend. What kind of weight are we talking about with this aircraft?
Well, the airplane is 36 pounds, and yeah, yesterday was kind of interesting in that second flight. We had a pretty stiff crosswind, and I darn near bottomed my rudder stick out to hold it in the takeoff and landing to keep it square to the runway, but we succeeded and it went well.
Well,